All right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories for you guys today. The first story, a strict curl story. Leonidas Arcona, who is also the German strict curl record holder, he recently posted a cheat curl video of some relatively easy-looking but very impressive numbers-wise cheat curls. So Leonidas posted a video cheat curling 264 pounds or 120 kgs. for 5 reps with decent cheat curl form relative to other cheat curls that I've seen. It's not as horrible as some of the other stuff that I've seen. So, of course, this is roughly 15 pounds heavier than the current strict curl world record of 249 pounds, 113 kgs. And you can combine that with the fact that we know Leonidas can do a strict curl. He's not just a guy that can do heavy cheat curls and that's it. We know that he can set records and break records doing it strictly. And another reason why I find Leonidas to be so impressive is everything that he's accomplished in the strict curl up until now, including this video. He's only 23 years old. So he's still got a ton of potential, a ton of time, and a ton of room to eventually one day break that strict curl world record. And I think he's certainly a guy that's well on his way to doing so. All right, now let's transition over into bodybuilding stories here, starting out with Sergio Oliva Jr., who is about, 6 weeks out now? 6.5, 7 weeks out from the Chicago Pro. He's one of the favorites going into that show. And again, he's one of the guys that, despite being one of the more well-known names in that lineup, he hasn't posted as many physique updates, and that has been by choice. But he posted this training video recently showing another glimpse of how he's looking going into Chicago. And I like the caption, too. He says, "Come correct or don't come at all." Let's face it, these shows have been weak AF. I'm just happy to have some stat competitions and real excitement in bodybuilding again. Let's get it. So, like I said, Sergio certainly has to be considered one of the favorites to win Chicago. I'm excited to see him on stage again. We haven't seen him since the 2020 Arnold Classic in Ohio. He was going to do the Arnold Australia, but that got canceled. So we didn't really get the chance to see very much of Sergio in the past 2020 season. Now, one of the things that I'm excited for is the Tampa show, because there's a lot of bodybuilders, or there's several bodybuilders, I should say, that aren't doing Chicago, that are doing Tampa. And I would imagine everybody that does Chicago, besides the winner, and possibly even the winner, is probably going to do Tampa the following week to attempt to qualify for the Olympia, again, either on points or by winning a show. There's 2 ways to do it. So I would expect to see most of that Chicago lineup transfer over to the Tampa show the following week, making that a pretty competitive show. And speaking of Tampa, I wanted to touch on this as well. An interesting tweet from Phil Heath where he uses the hashtag 8weeksout. Now, I'm not a fan of Twitter. I don't use Twitter. I don't have Twitter. I think it's the most toxic place on the internet, so I rarely ever talk about bodybuilder tweets because I rarely ever see them. But several of you guys saw this tweet and sent it to me. Noticed that it had that hashtag 8weeksout on there, and I don't think a lot of people actually saw this post, and that's why nobody talked about it. It only had 2 replies and 24 likes and 1 retweet. So it wasn't really a heavily engaged tweet. It was a picture of a song that he was listening to during his chest workout. It has the caption, "Had to take it there for this chest workout. Let's go, 8 weeks out." And he tweeted that on June 2nd. Now, the reason why I said, speaking of Tampa, is because on June 2nd, 8 weeks out would have been from Tampa. Now, you combine that with the fact that Phil Heath just did something that he rarely ever does. He did a video on his IG Live posing and training, and he showed his midsection. He was flexing his abs. He was doing front double biceps. He rarely ever shows his midsection, let alone in the off-season. He rarely ever shows it during contest prep. And a lot of people were noticing that Phil looked like he was in really good shape for a bodybuilder that's almost 7 months into their off-season after last year's Olympia. He looked like he was in really good shape. And he's showing off his physique, so a lot of people were speculating after seeing this tweet, or at least the people that were sending it to me, speculating that could he be prepping for a show like Tampa? Could this 8 weeks out mean he's getting ready for a show? Now, my first thought when I saw this tweet was not that Phil's getting ready for a show like Tampa. My first thought was maybe he's talking about a guest posing, some kind of appearance, and he wants to be in shape for that. That was my first guess with this. Now, that hasn't been confirmed because, honestly, there's no reason for him to do a show like Tampa. He is a Mr. Olympia champion. He never has to qualify for the Olympia again. He didn't just win it once. He won it 7 times. He's qualified for life. So there would be no reason as far as the Olympia is concerned for him to compete. Unless he's filming another documentary. I know that he was filming the documentary leading up to the Olympia. Unless he's filming some kind of documentary and he wants to prep for a random show and win a show in that documentary now that he's working with The Rock's production company, Danny Garcia's production company. I mean, I don't really see this as an accidental tweet or a mistake or anything like that either. I mean, it would be pretty hard to accidentally add the hashtag 8 weeks out. But really, I don't know. This one is purely speculative, but I thought it was worth throwing in there on the off chance that Phil is getting ready for a show like Tampa, which would have been 8 weeks out from June 2nd. On the off chance that he is doing a show like that, which again, I would see no reason why he would, I think it's worth including this tweet in a video just in case Tampa comes around in a couple months and we randomly see Phil Heath on stage and everyone's like, where did that come from? Maybe he told us the whole time. Let me know what you guys think, though, in the comment section below. Do you think Phil would be getting ready for a show like Tampa? Do you think it's a guest posing? I don't know. What do you think the 8 weeks out meant on that tweet? Why do you think he's looking in pretty good shape if he's this deep into his offseason, which it's interesting for sure. My personal opinion, I really don't think he'd be getting ready for a show like Tampa, probably a guest posing, maybe something else. I would be really surprised if we saw him on the Tampa stage, but I guess anything is possible. But then again, the Tampa is shaping up to kind of be like a miniature Olympia lineup. I think Rolly Winkler's going to jump in that show. That's my opinion. You've got a lot of top 10 guys that are probably going to be in that Tampa lineup. Could be an interesting show if Phil picked a random show. Probably the most competitive show outside of the Olympia and the Arnold that's left in the season. If for some weird reason Phil did want to do a random show and win that show, this would probably be the show to do because it's probably going to be the most competitive. Like I said, I don't know. Could be nothing. Could be something. Either way, could be cool. Now, next up in the news, Jeremy Potvin. He announced yesterday that he was switching from men's physique to classic physique, and he posted another post today and said, I can still add 27 pounds before I reach the 180 pounds weight cap for classic at my height. Which, that first line kind of confused me. So does that mean he's competing at a body weight of 153 in pro men's physique? Is that right? Now, he shows his legs in this update, and he says he can finally train with reduced knee pain, and the work will be put in. One of the things that I said when he announced that he was switching to classic physique was that his lower body is going to need work. But I found the caption to be interesting because I had no idea if he's right about this caption, that he competed at 153 stage weight. I did not know that. But it's been a pretty big announcement. I've probably gotten tagged in his announcement that he's switching to classic more than I've gotten tagged in anything else this week. Even the Phil Heath stuff, I've probably gotten tagged more on the Jeremy Potvin thing. So a lot of people are excited to see how he's going to do when he makes the big switch. Myself included. I wish him the best, and I want to see him do very well. Now, the final story that I wanted to talk about today, you guys requested it, so I will deliver. So, a.k.a. The Giant. So many of you guys have been sending this to me. Jamie Jahal, the tallest IFBB pro in the world, 6'5", 300+ pounds, currently prepping for the Puerto Rico Pro, of which he is 2 weeks out right now. So many of you guys have sent this to me and said, look how good he looks. You got to talk about this guy. He's made significant improvements. His V-taper is insane. His front lat spread is insane. And listen, I read your guys' messages. I listen to you guys, so I am going to talk about it. So I was watching this video, and typically for a taller bodybuilder, especially when you're talking about as tall as 6'5", that serves as a disadvantage to really fill out that frame. But looking at Jamie in this video, he looks to me like he's done a pretty good job of filling out such a tall frame. I mean, you've got longer arms, longer legs. It's just harder to fill out something of that size. And one of the things that caught a lot of people's attention specifically was, like I mentioned earlier, the front lat spread. And I got to agree with you guys. His front lat spread looks ridiculous. It looks really good. Crazy wide. Makes him look like a crazy V-taper illusion. He looks really good, I got to admit. Now, I believe when he competed last year, he was top 6 at one of the shows that he did, but it's slipping my mind which show that was. But he did have some decent placing last year. So just another guy to keep your eyes on. He's going to be competing, like I said, in 2 weeks at the Puerto Rico Pro, so we'll see how he does there. But overall, he is looking pretty good to me. All right, we'll throw one more story in there. So James Hollingshead, he posted a physique update today as well, and I wanted to cover that too, because one of the things that I like about James is his overall transparency. He says, nothing to hide as per usual. That's his caption on the post. He says 17 weeks to turn this into granite. His current weight is 301 pounds at 17 weeks out from the Olympia, upon waking up with a height of 5'11". So hopefully we'll see James Hollingshead in that first call out at this year's Mr. Olympia. So that's going to wrap it up for the video today, guys. I hope you did, in fact, enjoy it. Please give it a thumbs up if you did enjoy it. Please subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed already. And when you give it a thumbs up, or if you think about giving it a thumbs up, try to get it to 10,000 likes. It really helps push the videos out into the algorithm. So 10,000 likes is the number that I'm shooting for on every video. So if you appreciate or enjoy the content, just take an extra half a second, click that like button. Love you guys. Appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power, signing out.